Hi there, my name is Jason White, and I'm going to be giving an informative speech on the influence music has in our lives. And we're going to look together at who music influences, what does the influence of music do, where do we find this influence of music in our life, when, which is pretty close to where, and then, of course, the most important one, why does music influence us? Starting off with the who. Now, as you know, we're all influenced by music. Whether we thought so or not, whether we love music or not, everywhere we go, we have music that's playing. And it's coming in whether we're directly taking it or indirectly taking it. So that covers the who. Now, looking at the what does the influence of music do? I think this is a little more important even. Music can change your mood. Music quite possibly could give you a better workout. Music, as an athlete, might quite possibly make you perform better. Music in a movie can change your thoughts about what's happening on the screen. Okay, so I'm going next. We're going to talk about the where and the when do we find that music influences our life, because I think these kind of come together. So where, quite simply, pretty much everywhere we go. As I said, think about that. You go into the grocery store, there's music. It's playing in the background. I always find joy when I hear Christian music playing in the grocery store when I go in the grocery store, and that's not all the time, but definitely changes my mood. Of course, when you go shopping into the mall, the music is blasting. You go into a clothing store, the music's so loud you can't hear yourself think. Uh, when you go to the gym is playing music, and a lot of times people are listening to their own music. And I have found I get a better workout if I can personally be listening to worship music. I actually get irritated when I hear the music from the gym myself, and so having my own music gives me a place of peace, which allows for me to focus on my workout. Okay, so that would be the where, and of course covers the when, because it's pretty much everywhere we go. We're going to be influenced by music because we're constantly hearing it. Okay, more importantly is the why, and the why is the what I really want to focus on in sharing this with you today: the influence of music in our lives. Music influences our lives because it changes our moods. It changes the place. It takes us to a place where we are supposed to go, or we desire to go, or where the artist desires you to go. And that's why that's so important, because music can take you to a place where you're completely away from God and you're completely caught up in the world, or it can take you to a place where your eyes are on God, you're worshiping the Lord, and you're in a place where you can hear clearly what God has to share with you. And so we simply think about that as just going to church to do that. But the fact of the matter is you can actually experience that in all aspects of your life, because music influences our life. And so I like to share a story with you. I was very newly saved. This would have been over 20 years ago. And there's a young man I was mentoring, and originally from Wyoming, living in Wyoming, brand new married. This young man, his name was Ricky. He lived out in California. He got into some trouble. He was involved with gangs, and he came back, and we were mentoring him. And he loved music, and of course I did too. Being newly saved, music I never really thought about. I just loved all types of music, and I always told everybody it was for the beat, uh, not the words, but the beat. And of course, I had a big desire to listen to rap music, and a lot of people might be too young for this that's listening, but they were on CDs. Kind of age myself, and these CDs were not cool at the time. They were just had come out, and I had probably 200 CDs in my collection. And this young man kept on coming over. Long story short, he had seen that I had some Dr. Dre the Chronic, which hardcore um, gangster rap music has no place in my life anymore. At the time, I thought it was awesome, loved the beat. And Ricky begged me, this young man begged me, please just let me listen to the CD. No, we can't do that in my house. I don't do that anymore. And of course, he asked the question, why do you have it? And of course, I couldn't give him a good answer for that, and was trying not to listen to it. And he said, well, since you don't listen to it, just give me one of the CDs. And said, no, Ricky, I can't do that. That would be wrong. And of course, conviction is setting in. And in this process, the following day, I'm going through my CDs, which I don't listen to, by the way, at the time. And I noticed that there's 4 or 5 CDs missing, and they happen to be in this genre. And of course, it was loud and clear. Not trying to blame Ricky, not trying to attack Ricky, but Ricky had taken the CDs. And there was a heavy conviction that come upon me that the Lord had given to me, that the music I was listening to influenced me before and had such a heavy influence on this young man that it had no place in his life because it would take him away from loving God and knowing God. And so, needless to say, we were responsible for the youth at that time. The following week, I gathered all my CDs together, handed them out to each individual young adult, middle school, high schooler in our group, and handed them the CD and explained to them what music had done to me before and what music I was not going to allow to do to me now. And had them break each CD, and we made a big pile and we prayed over it. Of course, when it came to Ricky, Ricky was just in tears. Oh, please, please, please don't break these. Why are you going to do this? They cost money. And it's had such a stranglehold on him. Music had influenced his life so much in such a bad way that he nearly broke down. So fast forward to now, and as we look at music, I'd like to share some scripture with you that validates why we've got to be careful and cautious, why we got to recognize that music influences our lives, whether we think so or not. And start off with Matthew 22:37. And Jesus tells us, love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind. Okay, not with some of it, not with most of it, with all. Okay, and because we know music is an intricate part of our life, and we hear it all the time, everywhere we go, as we have established, we need to make sure that it's honoring to God, or we need to make a decision either to honor God or to not honor God. As for me, I've made a decision that I want to be honoring to God, and the influence music has on me, I want it to be drawing me nearer to the Lord. Okay. Second scripture I'd like to share with you is Psalms 98:4. It says, "Shout joy to the Lord, all the earth, burst in jubilant song with music." Okay, with music. Okay, of course we know Psalms they're worship songs, and what I'd like us to do, as I share with you, is just bring across a question to you. What if we collectively were to look at music as worship? I'm going to say that again. What if we collectively, as a group, would look at music as worship? Now, you might think to yourself, well, worship is for church. Worship is those Christian songs, and it has its place. We need to understand that music is worship. Music was created to soothe and to glorify God. Just imagine you're in the car and you make a decision to listen to worship instead of music. Would you be listening to that 90s R&B hit that you love and be able to worship God? And if your answer is yes, then who am I to stop you? But just listen to me for just a moment. What if, instead of that 90s R&B love song that you listened to, you turned on some Jesus culture? And you find that you fall in love with that music just as much as you did with the 90s songs, and it's putting good things in your mind. For me, it helps me stop with my road rage because it's an area that I struggle. I hate to admit that, but it's true. It's an area that I struggle still 20 plus years later after being saved behind the wheel of a car. Having worship music on definitely makes a big difference. But let's get out of the car. What if we as a group focused on, when we go to the gym, listening to worship music? Turning on some Lauren Daigle instead of your 80s pop song that you absolutely love. They just get you pumped. Now at the beginning it's going to be odd. At the beginning we're going to be like, wait, whoa, this feels off. But I truly believe if we come together and we actually worship instead of listening to music, in everything that we do, it'll draw us closer to the Lord. For me personally, it's so funny because all the time I'll have men come up to me and say, "Hey, how are you so jacked? How are you so pumped? What you listening to?" And I hand over my headphones and they're like, "What is this?" I don't expect them to understand and know, but I will tell you from my experience to share with you that listening to that kind of music while I work out puts me in a place where I want to pray. I want to pray for people. So my workout time turns into prayer time because music influences our life, which I've decided to make sure it's worship and not music. And I'll tell you this, when you go to the gym, a lot of times there are people that are walking by who have a little less clothes on than they should, or are presenting themselves in such a way that is hard to avoid. And I have to tell you, I couldn't tell you or give an example of two people in the gym in the last 2 months that I've seen because my head is down or my head is up and I'm worshiping God while I work out. So that works for me, and maybe that doesn't for you. But what if, once again, challenge to you, we replace music with worship? What if when we went to a movie, we chose to go to a movie that we knew would have music that would worship God? Now, of course, that's a little hard because most movies don't do that. But what if we were to see things that way? It would stop us from going to certain movies. It would pull certain thoughts out of our mind, which can lead to sin. It's just a thought. And as I give you my informative speech here today, that's a challenge I'm going to give to you. And I have a standard that I have for my family, and I want to encourage you in the challenge I've given to you to use this standard to accomplish that challenge. And that is the challenge of Philippians 4:8. Okay? And Philippians 4:8 says, finally, brothers, whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is just, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is commendable, if there is any excellence, if there is anything worthy of praise, think about these things. Think about these things. And what will happen if you have the standard of Philippians 4:8? No longer will it be music that influences your life. It'll be worship that influences your life. I'd like to thank you for your time listening to me. I hope you have a blessed day, and I hope you're up for the challenge.